You know we don't go on and on about traffic and snow on this show, unless they meet in the middle during a holiday week. Wildfire smoke and hot temperatures meet in the middle in Colorado prisons, where researchers say those incarcerated are disproportionately dealing with the impacts of climate change.
You can't just throw on a few jackets. You can't turn up the thermostat. You can't even cover the air vent that's pumping wildfire smoke into your cell.
2 state senators who just won re-election are resigning. Their replacements will be picked by a handful of party leaders, but that may not mean voters are not asked their opinion.
If an elected official were standing here next to me, what would you tell them matters to you?
And a community effort to put a turkey on every table. Speaking of turkeys, it's Marshall in for Kyle. Gobble gobble, next. Who did that? The mountains seem like a nice holiday escape. Also, the mountains are about to get lots of snow, and that means really bad driving conditions along I-70. So for those of you watching live and planning to spend the holiday in the mountains, if you can perhaps speed up your packing and leave, I don't know, when next is over, that might be good. For those streaming this show at a later time, hey, thanks for finding us. And perhaps go to Plan B for your mountain Thanksgiving. As long as traffic is moving safely on I-70, here is the schedule for the express lanes between Idaho Springs and Empire. Westbound into the mountains, they'll be open business hours Wednesday through Friday, and maybe this weekend depending on traffic. Eastbound, back to the metro area and in the direction of DIA, the only day the lane may be closed is Friday, depending on traffic. 2 big caveats. 1, it can cost more than $16 if you drive in the lane and don't have an express toll transponder. 2, if the weather leads to traffic spinouts or accidents, the express lane will close and be used as a shoulder. Kathy, give me your best estimate here, like the gauge of okay, you're going to be safe, maybe you should stop thinking of driving there, and all right, maybe not at all.
Some of this is dependent upon Mother Nature, and some of it's just dependent upon human error. Because if people don't drive well tomorrow in the mountains and there are accidents and spinouts, and there will be road closures. Right now, we're looking great. Denver, no issues. It's dry out there. I-70 looks terrific, but overnight the snow's going to pick up. A weather impact day tomorrow for this impending storm that's coming in. Heavy mountain snow could create road closures. 1 to 2 feet of snow will be an ongoing event through Thursday morning. And then the metro area gets in on the action tomorrow night into Wednesday. Major travel impacts for the mountains. The worst of the snow, the heaviest, Tuesday into Wednesday. We do expect that the snow and wind will create rough driving conditions, and also cold temperatures and wind will play a factor. So Marshall, this is the system. It doesn't look like it's too scary, but I'd say folks need to leave tonight or first thing tomorrow morning, and then we'll see what happens in the afternoon as that snow really picks up in coverage and intensity.
You got to be good at driving at night, too, if that's going to be the case if you're leaving tonight. Thanks, Kathy.
Okay.
Denver Mayor Mike Johnston says he won't stand by quietly while President-elect Trump's incoming administration enacts a mass deportation effort targeting as many as 20 million undocumented immigrants. The Trump administration would like a word about that. This weekend on Fox News, Trump's pick for border czar said the incoming administration will cut off Denver's federal funding if the city does not comply.
Federal funds should be slashed to that state, and I mean hugely so that people of that state understand that the governor is the responsible party, that the mayor's the responsible party. They can beat their chest to being sanctuary cities all they want.
And that's going to happen. I guarantee you, President Trump will do that. President Trump has made it clear. We're going to prioritize public safety threats and national security threats right out of the gate.
That's incoming Trump border czar Tom Homan. He's a former head, that is, of ICE in Trump's first administration and was one of the architects of a controversial family separation policy in 2018. Homan has promised to, quote, run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen, initially prioritizing targeting enforcement against violent criminals and gang members. Last week, our Mark Salinger talked with Denver's mayor, and Johnston said he supports prosecuting and deporting those violent criminals, but that city leaders are evaluating their options to resist deportations of migrants without criminal histories, including families and children.
Would you be willing to participate in those as the mayor of Denver? Would you be willing to go out and protest these things?
I would. If I believe that our residents are having their rights violated, if I think things are happening that are illegal or immoral or un-American in our city, I would certainly protest it, and I would expect other residents would do the same.
Trump's new border czar, Tom Homan, has said that he is willing to arrest leaders like yourself for standing in the way of these policies that they want to enact? Would you be willing to go to jail for these things?
Yeah, I'm not afraid of that. And I'm also not seeking that. I think the goal is we want to be able to negotiate with reasonable people how to solve hard problems.
Top Trump allies have seized on Johnston's suggestion that he would be willing to go to jail to block residents from being deported. Here you see Donald Trump Jr. tweeting, "Your terms are acceptable," with agreement below there from Twitter CEO Elon Musk. Johnston also made national headlines last week for comments he made to Denverite that federal immigration agents would be met at the county line by Denver police officers. Johnston has since walked that back, saying the city has no plans to have police obstruct federal agents. As Trump gets ready to pack up some boxes and move back to the White House, a court today agreed to drop a federal case involving the contents of some of those boxes. Trump was first indicted in June 2023 on dozens of felony counts related to classified documents stored at his Florida home after he left office. Soon after, he was indicted on 4 more felony counts tied to the January 6th insurrection, a case that's been held up after the Supreme Court gave sitting presidents broad immunity for their actions in office. Today, the prosecutor in both cases, special counsel Jack Smith, asked for all those charges to be dismissed. Smith's motion says the Department of Justice has a longstanding position against charging a sitting president. A local lawsuit that will not be going away is the one involving a former Dominion Voting Systems executive. Eric Coomer sued the Donald J. Trump for President campaign and many others in 2020 for spreading election rigging conspiracy theories that so far remain unproven. The lawsuit is against the Trump campaign and not Trump the individual. Attorneys for Coomer tell me that nothing stops this case from moving forward, not even immunity for Trump, because this is against his campaign. Convicted criminals are sentenced to prison. They're not sentenced to live in unbearable heat or suffocating smoke. Researchers at the University of Colorado accuse the state's prison system of failing to protect inmates from climate disasters. Here's our Jaleesa Irizarry.
A prison sentence may strip someone of most of their freedoms. Ben Nevis-Barron argues
That's precisely right.
humane living conditions shouldn't be one of them.
Nowhere is it written that you should be sentenced to choke on wildfire smoke. That is well beyond cruel and unusual punishment.
Barron is part of a team of CU researchers looking into the impact climate disasters have on those behind bars. They interviewed 35 former inmates. Some had been out for years, others only a few months.
Every single one of them reported problems with either heat or air quality or water quality.
37% of the participants said they experienced at least one wildfire while incarcerated, impacting the air quality inside the facility. One participant said, quote, "There were times when we tried to plug the windows with trash bags to keep the particles from entering."
This is an important lesson that I think I needed and many of my colleagues need to go through.
Dr. Shade Dashti focused on the infrastructure of the facilities. She says right now, prisons don't protect inmates as much as they should. They're only built to keep people in at all costs.
It has made me question my entire profession and the way we train our engineers.
These researchers believe change needs to be in the air. Creating evacuation plans and updating existing infrastructure to respond to extreme temps and poor air quality should be a priority for those who have lost most of their freedom.
And this kind of treatment does not fit the crime, regardless of one's point of view.
We did reach out to the Colorado Department of Corrections and confirm they got our request for a response, but have not received one yet. Researchers say there is a reason why they created this with only former inmates. They said it was challenging to get any kind of access within the Colorado Department of Corrections.
It's always good to say, hey, we got your response. There's a second step there, like the actual response. When we talk about prison stories involving prisoners, there's always that thought of it's hard to be sympathetic sometimes to someone who's in prison. And people are probably sitting at home saying, okay, sorry, I guess.
Yeah, these researchers knew people are going to say things like that, but they're talking about the most basic things that people need. Okay, air quality, right? You just want to make sure that you're able to breathe, that you're able to not wake up in a puddle of sweat at night, right? They're claiming that these are obviously some of the basic essentials that everyone should have, even if you are in prison or not.
Some of the most interesting story ideas come in the nicest penmanship from someone who has written us from prison. There's stories to be told for sure.
They matter.
Thank you, Jaleesa.
Yeah.
A second vacancy in Colorado's state Senate will be decided by 45 people. Democratic State Senator Janet Buckner announced her resignation last week after winning re-election to a 4-year term earlier in the month. She joins Democratic State Senator Chris Hansen in leaving the Senate after winning re-election. The committee that will pick Buckner's replacement for the next 2 years will represent 0.1% of the people who just voted in her election. Buckner cited health and family as the reason she needs to resign. Her replacement will be picked by a committee made up of party leadership and the precinct organizers of all the precincts that make up her district.
Precinct organizers have a very important job. They represent their precincts, they get to know their precincts and the people who are in them. And that's why they have this opportunity to vote in a vacancy election to choose the next House district rep or senator.
Here's the thing. Many of the precinct organizer spots in Buckner's district are currently vacant themselves. Those spots, though, are not going to be filled last minute. Arapahoe County Democratic Chair Melissa Garland told me as a precinct organizer, she goes door to door and talks with voters in her precinct about what they want in an elected leader.
If an elected official were standing here next to me, what would you tell them matters to you? So those are the conversations I have. And as a result, when I have served in vacancy committees, I think of my whole precinct and how they would want me to vote.
Colorado Democratic Party Chairman Shad Murab told me last week he has asked for vacancy committees to be locked once it's known a lawmaker is resigning. That way, candidates seeking to replace that lawmaker cannot simply get their supporters to become vacancy committee replacements and help get them selected. We want to say a quick thank you for all you've done this week to help feed folks across rural Colorado, especially those who don't have a neighborhood food bank to rely on. Here's Kyle with an update on this week's Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign.
Thank you for being with Next while I'm away in oranger pastures. And thank you for what you recently did for Care and Share Food Bank's mobile food markets through your latest Word of Thanks micro-giving campaign. Through one-time weekly donations and monthly gifts to the Word of Thanks Fund, you raised more than $30,000 to help them continue their work bringing food to low-income Coloradans in areas from Colorado Springs to Pueblo, out to the Eastern Plains, and up into small mountain communities. If you know of a nonprofit anywhere in Colorado that could use our help together as a community, email me next@9news.com or text next at 303-871-1491. I'll see you soon.
We're trying to give them a sense of hope because Thanksgiving on Thursday should be a time of joy and happiness.
Coloradans help the hungry, making sure their Thanksgiving tables are not left empty this week. And I'm all about nostalgia, so let's throw it back. Is the A-line working today? It is, and so are its horns. Neighbors want to know why a quiet zone is not staying quiet. And the most Colorado thing we saw today is a hungry bear trick-or-treating. Tonight's next question comes from Kate, a sleep-deprived viewer. Why has the A-line been honking its horn at every crossing all day and night again? Seems like it's been going on for the past week or so, and those of us near crossings are going a bit crazy. There it is. I probably shot that footage. Kate, the horns are home for the holidays near the Josephine and York crossing. RTD told us the crossing gate was hit by a truck last week, and federal law requires trains to sound their horns at the crossing while the gate's out of commission. RTD does not know when those repairs will be done. Man, it is annoying in the story. I can imagine what it must be like for Kate. It's a reminder that RTD's quiet zones through residential areas are not always quiet. Trains might still have to use their horns for a variety of reasons. If there's a construction zone, if it's starting after an unexpected stop, if there's something blocking a crossing, or if we have to cover video of a story about why there's horns honking.
Poor Kate, Marshall, that's terrible. Oh my goodness. Temperatures have cooled back to the mid-30s after a day with highs in the upper 40s. A quiet day, a break in the action before the Pacific storm moves in later tonight. And the storm means heavy snow for the Colorado High Country. A prolonged period of heavy snow, 1 to 2 feet starting tonight through Thursday morning. Denver will see some light accumulation tomorrow night into Wednesday. We have winter weather and travel advisories posted for heavy snow and difficult travel Central and a winter weather advisory for the foothill areas west and south. The snow will pick up in the mountains tonight, continue all day tomorrow and Wednesday, 12 to 24 inches. Denver, an inch or 2 in the city and out at DIA, with 4 to 5 west and south in the winter weather advisory. It's nice tonight. You get a break tomorrow, but all bets are off starting tomorrow night. Weather impact days for the mountains Tuesday and for Denver Wednesday, but Thursday, Thanksgiving looks great. A cool and chilly 37 degrees with lots of sunshine.
I'm trying to show my children, that it's also important to help people that need it.
A family begins lessons in generosity early as they help their neighbors in need this Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, a time to gather around the table, but also a time that can magnify how difficult that can be. 9 News photojournalist Byron Reed takes us on a mission to hand out boxes of hope.
We are giving out turkey Thanksgiving banquet boxes to those in need. I'm Cassandra Rezadek, and I'm a volunteer with the Denver Rescue Mission. I got 3 more turkeys. I've been volunteering with the mission for 2.5 years consistently, and I started with them 14 years ago. I've always been drawn to help the homeless, people who are in need, and I think it's a nice thing to show the next generation to get out there and help others. Push it down. This is my youngest son, Thomas Rezadek. We are out here helping out the Denver Rescue Mission, giving out turkeys and boxes to families for Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving.
We're going to hand out just over 3,000 Thanksgiving meals to people who are just, have some hard times, and we're trying to give them a sense of hope. My name is Stephen Hinkle. I am the Public Relations Manager at Denver Rescue Mission. Today is the mission's Thanksgiving Banquet in a Box. This is the 30th year. We've been helping individuals in the Denver community who are experiencing some financial hardships.
I feel like it's really important to give back to the community, help those in need, and I'm trying to show my children, that it's also important to help people that need it.
Today is an example of how we can help people who are experiencing financial hardships, because rent is increasing in the city. Cost of living is not shrinking, it's definitely going up. But because of community support, because of donors, because of volunteers, we're able to have this event. Most people that are coming through there are just really struggling. And a meal can be that first small step where they can start getting to a spot where the struggle isn't so much.
Hi, happy Thanksgiving. Just to know that there are people out there who care and want to, provide help wherever they can.
And what we can do today is provide hope and let people experience that sense of joy that does come with the meal. So that's what we want people to leave with today.
Thank you to Byron Reed for that. A rally and a hand, our feedback next. A thief trying to make off with a security camera? How is that the most Colorado thing we saw today? Here's how. Chris sent us this video from Estes Park. That's a very hungry bear, bypassing the trash cans, going straight for that doorbell. Chris says it's her husband's fault. He carried the camera's batteries around in his pocket all day, which happened to be right next to some dog treats. If you see something that feels like Colorado to you, email it next@9news.com. Feedback tonight, JC, on Threads of all things. As I was in a crush of travelers trying to use a DIA escalator, a woman near me called out, "Zipper merge, people." Hey, when you're traveling this Thanksgiving, don't be a turkey. You see a lane ending, use the whole thing and zipper merge. We'll see you next time.